Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the magical journey of Sri Lanka. This is episode 5. And last time, where we left off, was the top of a crystal mountain above the city of Kandy, which, by the way, the famous Buddhist tooth temple, there's supposedly the tooth of the Buddha is there. It's on a mountaintop above that temple. So that's where we left off. And the themes of today's adventure and story have to do with the healing power of music, fear and humor, and spiritual pilgrimage. I think that we'll get through all of that brilliantly in this time. So once Rory and I left, let me share this screen with you. Once we left this, here, let's put that over there. There we go. Once we left the Crystal Mountain, we had this desire that had come to us, which was to go to, first of all, I wanted to visit some of the Sri Lankan hospitals because of my clinical background. And I was also very curious about how the hospitals were here and any integrations that I might see with their traditional Ayurvedic medicine and Western medicine. And so we were asking lots of questions about about hospitals that we could go to, how we could contribute in some way. And part of that is that Rory really wanted to be able to play music. And in my heart, I just know that when he plays music and that we show up in this musical way, that like love amplifies, connection amplifies. Music is the universal language. So our driver helped us find this particular children's hospital, or the wing of this hospital, which was a children's wing, pediatric wing. And we went from space to space with Rory playing some music. And it was interesting. I'll be honest, it wasn't like it was just, received openly in a way that was free from discomfort. There was understandably some tentativeness there on the part of to some degree on the part of the children and on the part of the parents that were there. And also just, I think, a slight tentativeness and curiosity from the medical staff that was there. And then, of course, Rory and I were having our own version of tentativeness, wanting to be culturally respectful, helpfully humble in regards to the awareness of our, sort of inserting ourselves or presenting ourselves in this setting. And it was a really beautiful journey and it wasn't necessarily completely graceful, right? But in retrospect, looking back and reflecting, it was a really powerful teacher in letting the impulse to want to contribute guide, trusting ourselves to be able to navigate with sensitivity, and trusting ourselves not to withdraw simply because of our own discomfort of being in new circumstances where some of the individuals that were there were genuinely tentative or withdrawn. There's so much more to say about also this dynamic of cultural sensitivity of being a human in a white body within a culture where it has been colonized several times over. And I'll be sharing more about that has been one of the richest parts of the journey with Sri Lanka for my soul, like unfathomably so. So we moved through playing music. You can see some of the pictures here. And Rory, just such the golden open heart of this man is like nothing I have ever experienced. His bravery and open-heartedness is something to really behold. The other thing I want to share here about this particular part of the adventure is how lovely it was to see and witness genuine, healthy pride that the Sri Lankan medical staff had in what they were doing. in what they've created here together. Really beautiful. This is also reminding me of these little sort of microcosms within our journey of life where we're right in the middle of holding both pain and suffering and also joy and levity, and that we don't have to turn our back from one to hold and generate the other, and indeed to actually hold both simultaneously is, I think it's an act of heroism, and I also think it's a soulful practice. It's a practice for the soul that helps to fertilize and create more richness at the level of the soul. Okay, next we made the journey. I think I've shown you this picture. We made the journey. Here it is. If you're watching this video, do you already know what this is? I want to know. Put it in the comments. This is a glimpse into the spiritual pilgrimage journey called Sripada. And if you haven't heard of the journey of Sripada, I'm going to share a little bit with you here about it. And then, of course, if you're curious, look up more. Sripada is a pilgrimage site which has been held sacred by the devotees of 4 religions: the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Christians, and the Islamists. Historians agree that this site, even prior to the introduction of Buddhism to the island, had been a sacred site where the primitive people worshipped the sun god. I don't particularly like that description of it as primitive people, but the original peoples of this land. Why do people go to Sripada? The pilgrimage converges, if you can't already tell, I'm reading this from online because I wanted to give you accurate information. The pilgrimage converges the nation's 4 faiths. The sacred footprint is, according to the Buddhists, that of Buddha, who visited the peak at the initiation of its guardian deity. To the Hindus, it's that of Shiva, the great Hindu god of destruction. So basically, when you make it to the top of this pilgrimage, you're apparently looking at the sacred footprint of the Buddha. Okay. Perfect. So we set out on this pilgrimage because we were very curious. It sounded exciting. You have to go there. And then what's recommended is you get up in the middle of the night. I want you to see my whole face when I tell you this part of the story. You get up in the middle of the night and you start hiking up. I forget how many steps. Maybe we can I want to pause and look it up really quick and tell you because it's astonishing. Over 5,000 steps. Over 5,000 steps. They have an expression that I've heard, which is, if you come to Sri Lanka and you don't explore Sripada, you're a fool. If you do the Sripada pilgrimage more than once, you're a fool. And that's simply because it is actually an enormous physical feat. And Rory and I were going off season. So the pathway was actually overgrown with some jungle. And we had been warned by a few people, oh no, don't go during that time. There might be wild animals. Things might happen to you. So we were simultaneously, genuinely a little bit scared. And another part of us was like, oh, I don't know, what kind of wild, we should be fine. We should be fine from wild animals. We get to the hotel where we're going to stay, which is at the base of Sripada. Late at night, it was dark. And we're trying to find this place. And in Sri Lanka, the addresses can be quite unusual. Even the address of our villa here is basically, the address translates to the house next to the temple in this village, which is in this town. So this particular address, I mean, we're going round and round trying to find it. It is like a great grand mystery. We finally, well, before we get to where we think it is, we stop because our driver says, he's like, I need to ask somebody, because we'd been going round and round. We're tired. So he gets out and he's going to knock on a door to talk to someone. And Rory and I get out of the car for a little bit. I think Rory walked over somewhere to pee, if I remember correctly. And all of a sudden, I hear Rory running to the car, running. There's an animal, there's an animal. And it was a wild pig. And these wild pigs can make some ferocious noises. And they are pretty scary looking, especially for someone born in California in that kind of civilization. So he's running, he's jumping in the car. I jump in the car, we shut the door. And then our driver comes up not that long after, and he's laughing, 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 asking what happened. And Rory's like, a wild pig, a wild pig. And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world, the driver, not Rory, because he knew that the wild pig wasn't going to hurt us. But Rory really thought that we were in serious, serious danger. So here this added to some true adventurous kind of risky spirit as we decided to proceed with taking on this pilgrimage in the early morning hours, in the wee morning hours. So we found our hotel, and then let me share this with you. We found our hotel and we got up in the middle of the night as suggested, and we started the journey. And indeed, I think probably we only saw a few other people. And apparently during the season, this is just packed with people going up Sripada. You can see a few people there. This was actually on the way down. This was down at the base. Oh, it's a little bit blurry, I think, downloading in. Isn't that cool? Looks like a giant mushroom under a rock. One of the stupas, it wasn't at the top. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. And we covered it. The healing power of music, the universal language, fear and humor. Spiritual pilgrimage. Had we not made this journey, taken on this journey to Sri Lanka, I never would have experienced any of those things. And each one of those experiences deeply impacted my being forever. That is the gift. That is the gift of adventure. That is the gift of allowing yourself to truly experience another culture for all that it has to offer. Oh, to be enriched this way. Okay, next time when we come together, well, I'm not even going to tell you what's next time, but it's cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Share this with others. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you.